Tuning in from London, please welcome Mauro Flores, EVP of Data Democratization at Virgin Media O2, to share how his organization is unlocking context for customer centricity.
VMO2 is a telecommunications company in the UK that is the second largest telecommunications in the UK. We have about 16,000 employees, direct employees, and 45 million connections, right? It's part of this journey, right? For me, joining VMO2 was really important because most of my career, over 20 years, I spent on tech or tech companies. Moving to telco, I was really interested in this journey because telco has a complete different challenge to any other industry, right? And telco was, and I'm sure everyone will relate to this, right? You get to your home, you plug in or you connect to your Wi-Fi, and you have internet. That was the olden days, as they will say. Now we have a lot of disruptors in the market, right? Now you have to go online and see who's your better provider and choose from one of those. And for us, that becomes part of that challenge where before there were only a few of us in the market. Now there are multiple disruptions happening in that market. Customers want us to understand what they need, and they want simplification. They want that quality services that they, they're looking for who provides the best service out of all of us. And sometimes we can discuss this price. We think a lot of it is also value, right? So how do you get to that point where you're clearly understanding 45 million connections in an industry that has operated in a different way for all this time that has to rapidly change today? Well, that's where digitalization, that's where data democratization, that's where all of these pieces come into play, right? If we as an industry, we don't transform, we become obsolete. And that's true, and that's really disruptive. And that's a big part of the pressure we have as an industry. We really care about our customers and how we manage those customers. So when I heard this story about this industry, I immediately jump in and say, I want to be part of that journey, and I want to build that legacy, and I want to help the industry as much as I can. In that journey, that's where we set up data democratization for this company, VMO2. Our objective mainly was we want to reduce the bar for everyone to be able to consume data. We want to democratize that data so it's available to people, but we also want to empower people to use that data. And that by itself sounds, let's build a dashboard and people will have access to that data. The reality is, that the recipe for success is you have to have a great product that people will trust, that they can consume so they can engage. And then you want to make sure that more people are engaging with that product, but also that they're engaging with more products. So building that whole setup in a way that is scalable, it's part of the trick that we have in here, right? Part of our IP. Some of the things we're doing is data university as an example, right? How do we build those learning paths to make sure we're driving people across that journey so they get a data product and they know how to use it? And we're not talking about just one person or a set of people. We're talking about the 16,000 people. So how do we get to all of them to make sure we do some of that, right? How do we change the culture? How do we build the right strategy behind it? So as you can imagine, right, this presents a lot of different challenges because the moment you stop having a one-to-one connection to provide that data back to people, you lose a bit of control of either the quality or the type of data that goes out. So how do you have a platform where people can come in, look for that data, and self-serve? And then you don't want just that data to be a dashboard, right? You want that data to have context. You want that data to have ownership. You want that data to have some level of governance. So that's where Atlan came into play. We all heard about kind of data catalogs, and yeah, that's fun. But what we care about really was about that part of engagement and adoption and what tool and what platform and what partner was going to be working with us to get it there, and who was brave enough to work with us as a telco to go through all the hoops that we have. And Atlan, since day one, was that partner. We were talking about the journey and the outcomes that we were trying to drive, how we sat down together to talk about how do we work together and are honest to each other to get there. So where are we today in the journey? So far we have, out of the 16,000 employees that we want to onboard, we have onboarded 6,000 people. And the onboarding part is really important to us, right? Because it's not just giving a license to someone, it's making sure that that someone can leverage the platforms and the products in the way that's gonna help them be successful. So out of those 6,000 across our platforms, we already gonna hit 1 million views. And when you think about it, right, 1 million views in 1 year, that's just 2025. It's amazing where this company didn't have any of that, where you rely on people giving you all the data back and forth every time you needed something. If I were to leave you with something in my experience, and I'm sure there are a lot of wise people out there and wise colleagues out there that can share their own, but my own experience says this journey is transformation. And when you think about it from that perspective, you start building the structure and the partnerships that you need to drive that transformation along. It's really important that you have a strong point of view and you build that resilience. But I think equally important not to be afraid to fail.
Mauro, it's so good to have you joining us all the way from London today at Regovern. The impact that you already have might initially sound a little bit like a typo to people. It's incredible. Thousands of users using multiple data products every month in your marketplace. What was the tipping point in adoption?
One of the things that I discovered when I joined this industry was that people were actually data hungry. They wanted data. They believed they were using data in the right way, but they were frustrated for not being able to access the data. The journey for us was focusing on two key things: engagement. So how can we drive a lot of engagement from people if we're saying, hey, you don't need us, you can do it yourself? So how can we get to the point where people can engage with what we're doing? And one of the key pieces was bringing power to the business, saying, hey, instead of me telling you what I think you need, you tell me what is that you need, and then let's make sure that that product that we're building for you is not only for you, but it's actually maximizing value for you and other people. So building that prioritization within the business was one of the key parts of it, because we made them part of the journey. Then two, knowing that they needed data, right? And that they wanted my team to give them data all the time, is how do we train them? How do we enable them? Or how do we empower them so they can actually self-serve that data? So once you build one product that is highly successful and you make it easy for them to find, then suddenly they have questions that naturally will go to the same place to say, actually, do we have this other product? And eventually becomes a cycle, right? The more they engage, the more they adopt. Now, one key piece, though, that is something we're working together on is how do we build more trust? How do we make sure the right context is in place? How do we make sure that the quality of that data is the right level of quality, or the visibility to that quality is there, so we don't lose that trust?
So Mauro, we've been working with you and the team on the future of discovery, both for humans and agents via AI-powered search. What teams or domains across the company do you see benefiting from this the most? Where do you think that AI will have the biggest impact?
Well, I love that topic because that's one of the things that excited me the most about Atlan. So when we were exploring what would be the right thing to drive transformation within a telco business, right, that is, again, is huge and it's complicated. Something that lowers the bar to help people adopt self-service, analytics, data, AI was really, really important. So the way and the path that Atlan was paving towards that and having this now ready or there, right? It's key for the evolution because our target is not just our data people. Our target is we have 16,000 employees. So when you ask me who for, 16,000 people, right? That will be our aim. We believe that the moment we are lowering that bar, that we're making it easier for them to leverage Atlan's power through AI, it's going to unlock everything else because they're going to be able to find what they need in an easy way. Before, we had to invest a lot on UX, on the experience itself. We have to think deeply on how our customers will actually engage with us and be able to maximize the value of the platforms and what we're doing. AI basically accelerates that path to get it out there today.
Once self-service at scale is achieved, the next step you outlined is AI. How do you see democratization and AI working together in the next few years? What excites you the most about that future?
I think when we started the journey, we were thinking data and how AI will power the platform to get better at what we do with data. How do we democratize this data better in the data products? And the one thing I think is rapidly changing is more on how it's AI changing the way we, not only we use data, but how we work overall. So how that's lowering the bar way faster and how can we leverage AI to do a lot more. So one example for me, I talked about context earlier, but one of the things we invested on is single sources of truth, right? So we call it business layers. That's a massive investment. That's a lot of, as I said before, resilience, because something tactical, you have to say, hey, sorry, let's build something strategic whilst we deliver on tactical work. But that strategic build, business layers are single source of truth. When you add context on top of that, that Atlan helped us do a lot of that. That was a lot of investment. Then you can leverage that for other things. As an example, right now we're working on conversational analytics. So AI without context doesn't work, right? It's again, another automation. When you add context to it, it becomes value. If you invested in context and you have a platform that allows you to centralize some of that, then you have, again, another ingredient for that success.
At Atlan, we have loved partnering with you. We have pushed each other and truly been it together in this journey. For someone starting a data democratization initiative, how should they select their partners?
It's an amazing question, and I'm happy to be able to talk a bit about that because there are a lot of great intentions out there in the market, people trying to help us be successful. But partnership looks a bit different to, I have a great product, to I actually want for you and your company to be successful. I think Procalpa and the team itself have been always thinking about my success. How we work out commercials, how we work out those partnerships in the end, right, matters because it's the operational process of it. But what I look the most is the partner that I'm working with understanding what I'm going to go through, and are they willing to go through that with me? It's not going to be an easy journey, right? It's not going to be an easy journey for both sides, because that means you have to invest and I have to invest. Hence, we're here, right? And if that partner is happy to invest with me and they understand that journey, then I think we have the recipe for success. That was Atlan for me.